and this is a big part of sacred rest in terms of healing, is what I've been finding more and more is that when we kind of let go of that intense underlying energy of needing to fix and needing to be the best version of ourselves, and we just kind of relax into the flow of life, then life naturally is always, and I think in every moment, giving us the perfect opportunities that we need specifically to heal, whatever happened on our journey. And it can come in any way. And I think that's where it can get confusing is in our society, we've tended to separate healing and spirituality as like, oh, this is like what I do to heal and this is what I do to be spiritual. But it could be anything. And so, if you want to do spiritual things and you enjoy doing things that are in the healing realm, then cool, that's fine, do that. But don't think that it needs to be that way. It really just comes back to awareness.
I know this is part of the ethos or part of the premise for the sacred retreat that you and Joshua host is that you two don't really separate healing or spiritual from life. And I think that's the first time I heard that where it's so obvious, but it's like the plain truth often hides in plain sight. Where you two told me and taught me when we hung out in person was that spirituality is life. It's not a separate domain, it's part of life. And healing happens as part of life as well. And can you elaborate on that? Why I think a lot of us are caught under this dichotomy of spiritual is spiritual, healing is healing, mental health is mental health, and life is separate, even though life is a big umbrella that encompasses everything.
Yeah, Yasha and I talk about this a lot. I think it's just really tricky. I think living in this modern society, because of how many different teachings, different lineages and philosophies and modalities there are. I mean, it's endless. And, I think up until modern times and more when we were living more, tribally and connected to the land, there was just a way. This is my perception of it. You grew up and you learned from your elders and you took from you used the medicine that was on the land that you were living on. And there was just a way of doing things. And, now it's just endless. And I think for me, I'm always needing to check myself to not lose my own inner wisdom. We're going into conceiving a child, and that is like a whole nother Pandora's box of information and different perspectives and philosophies on how to do it and how to do all the things and the whole way. And so I've really made a commitment to myself going into this because I know my old patterns of like wanting to do all the research and figure it out. And it's like, I'm just not going to go there. I'm going to do as little research as I absolutely need to. And, especially when it comes to birthing a child, I think women have, we all have superpowers to really tap into our wisdom. Even if, maybe we don't feel connected to our intuition, like it comes online. I truly believe when you're going through that journey.
I had a conversation with a cognitive psychologist recently, and we were just talking about the restorative property of our bodies innately so. Because that's what you're alluding to, right? The inner intelligence, ancient wisdom that our body beholds. Of course, a lot of us got lost, got not as attuned, went offline because of distractions and so on. But she shared this analogy about when you put on a BandAid on a scar or a wound, it's not the BandAid that's healing the wounds. It's your body healing the wounds. The BandAid just stopping the bleeding. Likewise, when you point a finger at the moon, don't get caught up in the finger. Look at the moon. But I think America at large looks at the finger. And what you share sort of reminds me of that saying. And because I'm not a woman, clearly. And I probably don't have that superpower. But I do believe that all of us have deeper than self aspects we can truly tune into and cultivate a little bit further through intentionality and mindfulness.
Mm. Yeah, I use that analogy a lot with the BandAid. It's like, if we can just relax and trust and get out of the way, life and our body, it knows what to do, and there isn't a deep intelligence there within all of us. And especially, with healing, I think this is a very unfortunate paradigm that our medical system has conditioned us into, that, when we have symptoms, it means that something's wrong. And, oh no, like I have a stomach ache, something's wrong, I need to figure it out, or whatever it is. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting perspective to start trying on the lens that maybe something's right. Maybe my body is actually telling me something, and it's going through a process so that it can continue to evolve and transform and, yeah, naturally upgrade, essentially. Like getting sick. I always tell people, like, great, you're getting a nice upgrade.
Yeah, that's a good. I don't know too much about medicine, but I do know that like fever has its purpose. Like when you have fever, that's how you fight a lot of the diseases, inflammatory symptoms. When you have diarrhea, that's how you release the toxins. And I think, of course, there's a threshold. And you don't want to just sit in bed and saying, "Oh, I have 120-degree fever. My body's upgrading." Of course, of course, there is a line. Yeah. You probably really upgrade to the afterlife. But I just want to share that because our body does know itself really well, and we do have to tap into that a little bit further. Thank you for discovering more with us this week. If you enjoyed watching this video, check out the full-length episode at one of the windows that pops up. And as always, see you again in next week's train of Discover More. Thank you for tuning in.